Yes, a nice topic, guilt towards parents. As Jesus says so beautifully, let him who is without sin or guilt cast the first stone. Of course, we cannot be free from any guilt that we have, consciously or unconsciously taken upon ourselves, also towards parents, quite clearly. So that does not mean that this should be a free pass for bad treatment of parents, by no means, but it should at least be such that we are in human life and that some things could not be resolved better. Let's put it this way, quite freely. So, energetic liberation from guilt, that is the topic. You should feel freer after the video so that you can say, okay, a burden has been lifted from my shoulders. I feel better. That is the goal of the video. Not so small, right? So let's take the burden of guilt from your system. Now down. And freedom from guilt. Freedom from the thoughts that you are guilty. Freedom from the feeling that you weren't enough. I will erase all of that from your system. Parents naturally have such an expectation of what their child should be able to do, must. And in reality, parents believe with every child, this is a child. So this is a hidden Einstein. It just hasn't been recognized yet. So the expectations are always gigantic. And it is simply difficult to satisfy these expectations because they are unrealistic. Wanting to fulfill the unrealistic expectations of parents, I will now take that out of the system again. And perhaps also the energy that we children are normal people with flaws and life paths that sometimes show ups and downs. I will play that again now. You should have it better than we did. That is perhaps the case with many parents who have sacrificed themselves for the child. And there, the parents certainly make a mistake. Of course, the child should have it good, should have a good education, should have an optimal education, should have an optimal school and vocational education, and possibly also have found the right partner. But at a certain point, it's not the parents' problem, but our problem, the problem of the children. And I'm already a bit older, so I could already have grandchildren, but I don't yet. So I only have 2 sons. But that is not the parents' responsibility, what the child ultimately made out of the given opportunities. So herewith, I relieve the parents of their feeling of somehow having taken on guilt, because maybe it wasn't so optimal here, and it wasn't so optimal there, and it was less optimal there. Herewith, the parents receive a release from guilt from me right here and now. Although, of course, I made the video more for our parents, from the perspective of the child towards the parents. How old the child is doesn't matter. I would still be the child, but both my parents have passed away. But even if the parents are 90, they are still the parents. Father lived to be 93 a few years ago, mother 89. Okay. So these expectations I take again of not having met the parents' expectations, I take that out once more. And that the parents cannot know what potential lies within us or do not need to know, I will play that now. So a constructed example, they are supposed to take over the parents' business, but they feel more inclined towards artistic painting or similar things. And then, from the parents' perspective in this constructed example, they are not right. But from their own perspective, they are completely right because they are doing what brings them joy and where they have fun. So, not having to fulfill these expectations, I will take that out of the system again from all involved, and that everyone is allowed to create their own life. Good, bad, super, fantastic, whatever. That is the decision of each individual. I will play that again now. And if everyone did what the previous generation thinks should be done, then nothing new could develop. So this idea that everything must continue in the same old tracks, I will take that out now. And that something new is allowed to develop, I will play that in now. If you take the last 50, 60 years, yes, I'm a little over 60. 60 years, what has changed in that time? Well, I can still remember at home. We didn't have a TV at first. There wasn't one. The first was a black and white TV. So I can remember that far back. And then at some point, a color TV came along, and that was only later. At some point, there was a VW Beetle. That then improved a bit to an Audi later, Audi 100. But we kids, all three of us, so two siblings of mine, we visited Grandma, I can still remember today, squeezed in the back of the car. In the Beetle. We then drove to Norden in East Frisia, from Leer in East Frisia to Norden. That was about 60, 70 kilometers, but it was actually a bit of a horror because the car was too small. Okay, so I just want to say, a lot has developed and the parents can't really know what has developed. That now, for example, we have artificial intelligence instead of just a year or two ago, much earlier than anticipated, but that computers can actually implement it. That's been around for 1 or 2 years now. The construction has remained. 30, 40, 30 years, so much longer, but the machines couldn't manage it. And that this will have a huge impact on this life, on what will happen to us, I believe we can't really foresee that yet. So they can create a website with 0.0% effort. From AI, you can copy. You can get information. You can talk to the system as if it were a human, and it understands you as a human. So you don't need to adopt such an artificial, abstract way of thinking. So it's fantastic what is available there. But the parents didn't know that. And if you always only did what the parents thought, then today there would still be blacksmiths and horse-drawn carriages, wheelwrights, and so on. So they can't know that. So if we want to adopt the expectations of the parents, then we are certainly doing something wrong. So let's take this expectation thing from the parents out again. And that we ourselves make our own lives. The same applies, of course, to businesses that the parents have built. It's nice when the children continue this. I understand that about parents too. I also understand that from a practical standpoint because a value has been created there, and it would partially disintegrate if it is not continued. But if it doesn't correspond to the basis of life, then we have to stop. Or conversely, if the parents had a corner shop, which is becoming trendy again, but for a while it wasn't trendy anymore, so all the corner shops died out. But now they're making a bit of a comeback, then it wouldn't have been profitable to continue the corner shop. They would hardly be able to make a living from it. So, that's one aspect. Having caused worries for the parents, I take that out of the system again. Now, out. Yes, those are the unfulfilled expectations of the parents. Also another perspective, but well, one might have done some nonsense. In my youth, I, of course, wrecked a few cars because I drove too fast. But there was no scolding. I always paid for it myself. So, in that respect, now I'm 40 years, 50 years, knock on wood, uninjured. But it was like this at the beginning. You drove too fast and didn't pay attention to the fact that others could also make mistakes. And then it was too late. Because you were fast, you couldn't react well. Oh. Sometimes these are artificial worries, as explained earlier. You should now continue the business and do something completely different. And that worries the parents because their life's work is not being continued. In my case, it's clear my brother is thankfully continuing the farm. And my father or my parents are happy about that. I don't know if I would have done it, even though I have the agricultural training. Certainly differently, right? So, not finding a successor or having found one, I'll take that out again. And in a calmness, it comes as it comes, I'll play that again now. Another point is yes, not having taken enough care of the parents would also be a topic. Not having taken enough care of the parents, I'll take that out again. And having taken care of the parents as much as possible, I'll play that in. So in my practice, it's more like many of my children take very, very much care of their parents, practically their own lives. They have given up and made caring for the elderly mother or father their highest priority. That's what I experience. Practically, it's a double-edged sword. When the parents, when you can no longer lead your own life because you are the caregiver for the parents, does it show that you truly love and care for your parents and that you haven't accumulated any guilt in that sense? But whether that's always right, I don't know. In any case, they have cared enough, but there are also plenty of people who have distanced themselves a bit or at some point separated from their children because they said some harsh words. I also know of cases that occur in my practice so that some behavior of the children didn't please the parents and that they practically get annoyed with the children. They then become cheeky or become substitute parents, which is also a big issue. So this not allowing each other enough to live in their own position, I'll take that out of the system again and also accept each other as we are. I'll play that in again. And not caring enough, I'll just take that out as well. And to care enough and take responsibility without neglecting one's own life so that the parents always are well in their older years. I'll play that in again. Parents can also be little tyrants. That should perhaps be clearly stated. So if I constantly demand that my child or my children treat me like they are at my disposal, but because I once raised them, is that at least somewhat acceptable? So, this desire for children to endlessly care for and protect one until death, I'm going to set that aside for now. I think a good solution can be found for that. I see many who sacrifice themselves who can't do it anymore. The 90-year-old mother, and the parents are already at the end. 60, who simply don't have the strength for it anymore. Perhaps the father is also no longer really strong, and then it becomes an overexertion. The extended family that used to exist. Grandma, great-grandma, grandma, parents, children. They could manage it better. There were also younger ones involved, the children, who could still provide support. They could support their parents, who supported their parents. So it was a bit better managed back then. And they also had a role to play. It's actually a shame that this extended family rarely exists in the form where all parties live under one roof and support each other, where the grandma or great-grandma still looks after the grandchildren or great-grandchildren. And it is also ensured that she's well taken care of and she feels important in this family. I believe that is the right outburst. This is happening now in this destroyed family structure, where one lives in Munich, another lives in northern Germany, in Kiel, in construction. The grandchildren live scattered, and you only see each other occasionally, once in a blue moon, in some form. This is a fragmented family form that has its advantages when each individual can develop as they wish, and its disadvantages, that especially in such a case of need. Yes, it remains dependent on very few. So that individuals who the parents have to care for alone, I'll take that out again now. And that you definitely have to seek support from the state or other means when things can't continue. I'll play that again now. It was about the headline was not having cared enough. Then let's look at the other side again. Yes. Again, I did not meet the parents' expectations enough. I'll take that out. Oh, again, and meeting one's own expectations. I'll play that again now. This, you can't do it, and you will never be able to do it. This negative judgment from the parents that weighs on us, I'll take that out again now. And the positive, you can do it. You will succeed. So this protective, value-creating judgment, I'll play that now. The bad conscience, which forces the parents to help. I'll take that out of the system again now. And I believe there are many ways to help the parents. So, at the end of the day, I think the parents want us to spend time with them and give them the appropriate recognition by gifting and using our time with them. How we organize everything else, like meals, care, and so on, I believe. Second topic. Demand this. I'll take that out of the system again. You can do it, and you do it because it brings you joy. And because you feel love and you enjoy doing it, I'll play that again now. And if someone is a dragon, then you have to treat a dragon like a dragon. So that one must now sacrifice oneself for the generation that is ungrateful, like the parents or parents now. I can do that here in the right sense. I'll take this sacrificing out of everyone's system again. And that everything must be in a certain balance, I'll play that now. That we can never actually meet the expectations of the parents, which always go to the Guinea. I will now take that out of the system again, so that we meet our own expectations, repeating from earlier, and say, okay, we have taken advantage of the opportunities of the time and have become what we wanted to be. And we have realized this with joy. I will play that now. To fulfill the duty of having descendants, I will take that out again, so that the family remains intact, and we can freely decide whether we will have descendants or not. I will play that again now. Yes, this repetition triad, because the parents, and so they're in their one story, I got stuck there. I will take that out again now. And freedom from this repetition tirade, I will play that now. Yes, I have a case, I'm just thinking about it, where the grandmother then sees ghosts, feels pursued. Or when it becomes a real horror story, that is also unpleasant. So, Not having to throw oneself into the knife with the ancestors, I will take that out again now. But rather, being able to organize it and say, okay, you have to go to a nursing home now, or you need to go into professional care because I can't handle it physically and mentally the way it is. We don't need to let ourselves be destroyed by the sacrifice of some guilt relationship. I will play that again for everyone. Yes, I know that too. So, such a bad mood because they are doing poorly. I also know a case where someone has poor vision and is in a bad mood, and generally in a bad mood. That is really tough. To math still stay together. I will take that out of the system again and play peace for all involved. So, guilt towards the parents. Also grandparents, that is also meant. And grandparents, so. What is still missing? We have actually not sworn a vow of loyalty like in marriage until death do us part, but it is a voluntary matter. And we are. You also have to see it a bit from an energetic perspective. Not the part, we are indeed a part of our parents, yet we are different people than our parents. So we are related, but we are not the same. We do have the same genetic material, or 50% like, yes, mother or father in us, but we are still something new, something different. And we are not the property of the parents. That must be made very clear. There is no right of ownership, and there is also no right of sacrifice. Oh, the parents who threaten to suffocate one because they want to impose something on us that we don't want. I'm taking that off now. And freedom for the parents, freedom also for the children to realize their own lives. Yes, right? Time is like that. To take care of the parents, but not to sacrifice oneself. I think that's the key to it. As far as he can. I know if he has no other care or gardening options, I understand all that. So, not sacrificing oneself, I'm taking that out now and doing it gladly. And if I don't do it gladly, then I have to organize it differently. That I will play again for everyone. Yes, there are also some threats, latent threats. If you don't do what I want, then you'll be disinherited. Well, then happy disinheriting, I would say. Never allow yourself to be blackmailed. Remove these blackmail stories from the system for everyone now and say, okay, you can do whatever you want with your money. But we still have to do what is right for both of us. No manipulation stories. I'll play that again now. Yes. Okay. I also noted down lack of recognition as a point. So the lack of recognition for the parents is highlighted again, and the achievement of your life that you raised us, and that you possibly also provided us with a good education and laid the foundations for our lives, where you were always a good advisor to us, always good advisors. Also the warmth, the recognition and love for our parents, I feel it. No matter how the parents were in the end. Only through you did we come into this world. And that is indeed wonderful. That belongs a little bit. That is the basic recognition we can always have, no matter how good or bad things have been. This basic recognition, without you, I wouldn't be here. And I expressly thank you for allowing me to shape this adventure of life. Good. Yes, Don't forget the bell. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to recommend it further. Don't forget to write a positive comment below, whatever. Yes, YouTube needs reactions, but I see that you are doing it. Wonderful. And that is also an effect for you, which makes me happy. Take care. My name is Connex von Less, and see you then.